another episode of the Doomloop Dispatch, the news show that covers the worst parts of the San Francisco Bay Area. I'm Kevin L. Jones, and with me whenever possible,
D. Scott Miller.
And we're here doing another headlines episode because we got some good news, we got some crazy news, but we're here to celebrate. We are here because we could not be more excited as the results of the mayoral election come through. I'm gonna crack open a celebratory beer.
I guess I'll just drink my super dad.
I know. I just want. It's not too early, so I'm not too worried. But yeah.
Cheers!
Cheers to this. Could not be more happy about this because they threw in so much money. They spread so many lies. They did so many shady things to push Loren Taylor through.
Yeah.
I mean, from making up fake ads, fake articles to promote their side.
So many other things too, like, claiming to get endorsements from the Democratic Club that they did not have, claiming to get endorsements from WOPA, claiming to get endorsements from the elders, Black elders of Oakland. Also, this sham of a debate that Barbara Lee actually ended up winning. It's just like these guys have just been cheating all the way through.
Yes. Making up fake Black organizations to support Taylor.
Yeah.
I mean, the Black Action Alliance is just pure scum, like just unbelievable that they would try to do that, especially when all the people behind it are white people. And actually now it's coming out too. Omar pointed out that Philip Dreyfus, the guy who's been pushing the recalls, pushing people like Taylor to win, he's also been buying up high-rises on the cheap in Oakland.
Yes,
so it's clear that it's truly this is about real estate, this is about property values, and this is just we knew that was the truth, but now they're not even trying to hide it anymore.
But I would say only by an extent, right? Mm-hmm. Because like after the things that the troubles that we personally had with Gary Tan's AstroTurf network, Tan is actually very upset about Barbara Lee losing the election,
or winning.
Winning the election, and there's absolutely no explanation for it. There's no explanation for why he donated $10,000 to. As far as we know, he only donated $10,000 to Loren Taylor, right? There's no explanation as to why he's so upset that Taylor lost, and that has nothing to do at all with real estate. Gary Tan has no real estate here. He's a tech bro. He's a tech bro, and a lot. And the other thing that I found very interesting is that nationally, if you go and you look right now on Twitter in particular, nationally, MAGAs are extremely mad about Barbara Lee winning this election. Mm-hmm. They are deeply invested, and what's so crazy to me is that to me indicates that they had an understanding about what the tactics were, what they were, who were using the tactics, how they were using the tactics, and what the expectation was. And so there's MAGAs in Tennessee, MAGAs in Texas, MAGAs in Indiana. And it's kind of like somebody said that what happens in the Bay Area becomes a template for the rest of the country.
Yep.
And so the real question was, how do you convert or capture a diverse city? How do you make a diverse city a MAGA city? Mm-hmm. Right. And so the thing that drives me crazy is how did they know that that's what was happening here? What were the inner pipeline? What was the inner pipeline to where we have a MAGA in Illinois who's upset about not winning Oakland?
Yes.
Even though there's not supposed to be any MAGAs here. There's no MAGAs here. Right.
Well, except that one candidate for Oakland that supported Loren Taylor.
Mindy. Yeah. And if ranked choice voting had actually had to be implemented, all of her votes, MAGA Mindy's votes, they would have gone to Loren Taylor.
Yep. But he has nothing. No, but he's a Democrat.
Okay.
It's so crazy too because we should also point out the kind of reactions that we're seeing from this winning. I mean, well, first off, actually, what we should talk about is the fact that we have this issue that with when they think she's going to lose. So after the initial votes came in, people were calling it for Taylor, even though it was like barely, like half the votes had come in, and it was still pretty close, and it did not take into account, but everyone was saying, oh, well, this means, or at least like a lot of people, like this guy Vance was saying, oh, Taylor won. And I mean, that's just, Omar had a great point about, and Hyphy Republic, he also runs Oakland Observer. We don't give him enough credit, I think. He had a great point that they shouldn't do this with votes, or they should at least be very clear, like, this is not the end all. There's still a lot of votes to come in, and seriously, they keep doing this, and I think it's because they're going to try to do the Trump playbook. I would not be surprised. I would not be surprised if, because especially we're seeing now, Chris Moore, the lovely Piedmont-based Oakland landlord, is already challenging the results, making up stuff about how, that there's serious issues with vote by mail. They could try to do the stop the steal.
Well, I don't think, no, see, that's the thing. Well, okay, if you go back to the national election, I still have my questions about Florida. I think Florida stopped their count. I still do. And I do believe that it's up to the discretions of the states to when they're going to stop the count. You know what I mean? And let's not forget, like, the Bush v. Gore and the Brooks Brothers rebellion, right? Where they actually did stop the count. They stopped it. Yeah. And so, I mean, like, you can't do that after the fact, right? But I do think that people were trying to do a push on stop the count, not so much stop the steal, but there was a stop the count push. That was kind of like an undercurrent. What was happening, because everybody understands this. Like when it's in your favor, you don't seem to mind. You understand that, like, first the mail-in votes, then the people who are coming in person, and like to tally those votes, it's easier to do the mail-in votes because they come to you. But then you're going to have to go and gather all these other votes, and it takes much longer. But almost every time, at the beginning of it, it leans right. And then as more and more people, like this is what I thought, working class people are not going to put in their votes. What they're going to do is they're going to get off work and they're going to go to the polls. That's how people usually do it. They get off work and they go to the polls, right? So, I mean, and they knew that. So when they started making these announcements early on, they were like, no, just stop doing it because he's a shoo-in. Just stop the count. But this stop the steal thing, no, the margin is way too wide, man. It's way too wide. And it drove me crazy. I think it was K-Ron that actually said Barbara Lee barely wins the thing. I'm like, no, dude, she got him by 7 points. What are you talking about? Yeah, like she blew him out of the doors. He's like there was no way. So like this thing that he's talking about, like you could try to trump that shit, but it's just the win is too significant, and it's after the fact. Right? Like if what you wanted to do was you want to do something about ranked choice voting, you should have put the money that you put into the recall on getting a ballot measure to do something about that. And if you were going to start talking about election integrity, then you should have taken the money that you were going to use put towards Loren Taylor to put towards that, and then let Taylor run in 26. Yep. But here's the thing: the ranked choice didn't even matter. No, she got enough votes. Like that's the craziest part too, is that they don't even have that to fall back on. Exactly. She won fair and square. And I want to credit, the community. I really think people really could see through. They got so sick of the lying, so sick of the deceptions, and sick of Seneca. I mean, honestly, I think your tweet about where you had John Arthur Jones' statement, I think that says a lot. Actually, I'll bring it up right here. You know, it's really funny though. I got to point this out. Okay, John Arthur Jones is known as JJ. Yeah. And an Oakland Observer is known as Omar. And so we have to we have to make some distinctions because JJ Smith,
and Omar.
JJ Smith is Omar Ward. Okay, you guys.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Yeah,
Good point.
JJ is John Arthur Jones the third, and Omar is Omar Yassin. Okay, we like don't get them confused. We have to be more distinctive when we say those.
But also, so tell why don't we tell our audience who JJ is in this case?
Okay, well, I mean, the thing is that Seneca Scott has been going around claiming what people call foundational Oakland, right? He even named an organization like Foundational Oakland. But Foundational Oakland actually comes from an honest to God understanding of the Oakland community, right? We like a lot of people we consider a lot of people foundational Oakland. They were born and raised here. They've always been involved in their communities. JJ is one of those people. He ended up on the Reimagine Task Force, but he's always been involved in the community. And like, doing things like, when we have say a Life is Living festival, right? He's going to be there to help organize it. He's going to be there to help build it. Like if we're doing High Road Day, JJ is going to be there, right? He's a central figure in our community. And a lot of people are like that. Like they don't do it to be in the spotlight. They do it because they love the town. They love the community and they love their people, right? He's one of those guys, right? Just because he's not out here trying to be on Twitter or anything like that. He's in the community, And there are a lot of people like that. I've always considered Eric a foundational. I've always considered Davey D, even though he wasn't born here. Davey D has been doing what he's doing for like 35 years now. You know what I mean? In the community. He's foundational, right? So JJ is one of those foundational people, as Seneca Scott says in this, he's a person with credibility. He has a foundation in Oakland to where if he does an endorsement, people will listen to him. If he says, don't do that, then they won't, I haven't really gotten a chance to really hang with dude. But there's a lot of people who are like that, like Boots Riley. Boots Riley actually is foundational Oakland. His dad, Walter Riley, is a very famous civil rights attorney in Oakland who actually worked with the Panthers. So he's foundational, right? Now, I've never actually hung out with Boots. JJ's the same way, right? We just find ourselves in the same spots. We give each other a pound. Good to see you, bro. Boom, keep it moving, right? So when he shared this, we're Facebook friends. We're Facebook friends and have been for a long time. When he shared this, he did it. His account, I think, may even be private. But it was just so important when I read it. No, actually, it was Brandon, because Brandon is the one who turned me on to it.
Okay. And
that was when I did the screenshot, right? And the screenshot is essentially, I know it's a lot to read, so I'm just going to go ahead and give everybody a synopsis.
Yeah.
Seneca Scott approached JJ. JJ being RJJ. Let's just start calling it RJJ and R Omar.
Oh,
so,
yeah.
So about say, I think he says about maybe 5 years ago, Seneca Scott approached him to help him with his mayoral run, and JJ said no because he didn't know him, right? Like he was an unknown. Then a couple of years go by. And he gets approached by Seneca, and Seneca says that he's plugged in. This is after Tao had fired Armstrong, and he said that he was plugged in with some out-of-state folks who had money to give to people.
Yes,
if they went after progressives, particularly Carol Fife and Barbara Kaplan. And what JJ said in response was, "That's bitch nigga shit." but the reason why Seneca wanted him and needed him, and Seneca says this, he said, we need people with credibility in order to go into the community, the Black community in particular, and attack Carol Fife and Barbara Kaplan, but progressives in general. And JJ said no. And then after JJ said no, Seneca started going after him, particularly on Twitter.
Yep.
Like just really like trying to get his goons to go after JJ. But the real issue is that JJ's a real one. I mean, he's a real one. I mean, like not the guy to fuck with kind of rule. Like, no, he really, really is. Like he's a big dude. He's super healthy, but even more than that, he's plugged into those kind of communities. He's from deep East Oakland. and he's from deep East Oakland. Understand this,
Yes,
right?
Yes. Grew up there. You said it in the post, during the crack era. That should tell you everything,
Deep East Oakland, okay? Stop. And so he's got connections. He's got, like, that's one of the reasons why everybody respects him, right? Is because he's got these connections with like, connected people, right? So basically what happened after that is that JJ is going to come with this post because Seneca went after his family.
Yep.
And he said he had only two options. And one of those options was to go get him, right? But the other one was to reach out to community support, have people understand who this man was, right? And pretty much exile his ass, right? So what he did was he pointed it out. He said, look, anytime you got a guy who's coming into our community saying he's got outside money for Black people with credibility to work for right-wing operations, that makes that person an operative. Seneca Scott is an op.
Yep.
And so and he has, it's not just his Facebook post. In the Facebook post itself, it says he has all the text.
Yes.
He has all the text messages of these exchanges.
He posted them later.
Yeah. But what's interesting though is that the responses to this, a couple of other Black foundational Oakland people said they also had similar text messages from Seneca Scott, right? So he actually is an op. Like it's verified, it's confirmed. And even Carol Fife came in. CM Fife herself came into this conversation. She said, I haven't been on Facebook in years, but I wanted to come in and give you a second. Yes, Seneca Scott is an op.
Yeah.
And several people use the word COINTELPRO. Several people use the word COINTELPRO.
Whoa. And that is a red flag for this community.
Yeah, and that's
sure.
Now, the thing that I think is really most important is I think what I respected about JJ's approach to it was that he didn't want to look like it was necessarily politically motivated.
Yep.
He waited until after the election in order to post this, like as they're tallying the votes. Because he didn't want to say he didn't do it to say this itself is a political operative, right? I myself, as a citizen who's not involved with Barbara Lee, not involved with Loren Taylor, and that was the other thing. This is the very same man who gave us the information that Loren Taylor came to him the same way that Seneca Scott came to him, right? And Loren said, "Will you support me?" Because he had supported Loren, I think in 2010 or something. Right.
Okay.
And he said, well, I'll do that under the conditions that you get rid of Seneca Scott.
And he said no.
And he said no. But no, the thing that was most telling, he said, no, I need him.
Yep.
I need him to win. Right. So the issue is that Seneca Scott knew full well that JJ had rejected him every time he tried to use him as an operative. So he sends Loren Taylor over there in hopes of Loren turning JJ into the operative that he needed.
God damn.
Right?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, exactly. It just so, I mean, it's so weak of Taylor, I would want to point out too.
Well, I think I've been trying to figure out why Taylor thought that I mean,
you need a Scott too.
But it kills me. It's like the guy had already, Jen Tran got tanked by Seneca Scott. I mean, absolutely tanked. And so I was trying to figure out, well, why exactly would Jen Tran sign on with the guy? But then for Seneca Scott to see, for Loren Taylor to see what Seneca Scott did to Jen Tran and still go over there and try to do it.
Yeah.
It's the outside money, the outside MAGA money, whatever that money is. It was enough to influence him. It was enough to make him think that. And also, I don't think that he thought. I hate to say this, but he might have been gullible enough to think that Seneca Scott actually did orchestrate the recalls instead of them being paid for signature gatherers. I mean, it's not something that people know a lot about. I mean, the person who's actually in charge of the recalls is Philip Dreyfus.
Yep. He's
the one that paid for the out-of-state signature gatherers. Yep. Right. It was not a grassroots movement by any stretch of the imagination.
Nope.
But that's not really well known. Right. So I think that maybe he also thought that Seneca had like the recall people in his pocket, not understanding that the recall itself was fabricated through Gary Tan capture of the San Francisco Chronicle, the capture of TV stations through Sam Singer, who's also being paid by Oakland Police Association. So I mean, I don't know if Taylor actually spent the time to actually observe and I'm trying to think of the best word, analyze. He didn't analyze what the appeal was of Seneca Scott. So he actually thought that Seneca was a great organizer, when in fact he isn't. He was assistant manager of a retail enterprise.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Well, also too, Omar's been pointing out too, our Omar, he's been pointing out too that Taylor is a real bad businessman as well. Like he can't, his shit is closing down left and right. Definitely check out his reporting on Taylor's business success. I do want to point out one last thing in RJJ's post, talking about the ops, and especially this note here. Number 1, they can break the law with immunity as part of their task duties. And that's really notable too, is we're seeing a lot about how the police are protecting these trolls, these people standing up,
I think Ricky Wynn put an end to that shit. That's what I think.
We hope.
Well, that's what I think, because I think the real issue is that like there was a possibility of Brooke Jenkins doing something about him before, and she just kind of said, well, if it's not a problem until it becomes a problem, right? And that was a mistake, and that was one of the reasons why she is actually going through a diversion right now, right? Because like she could be prosecuted for a whole bunch of shit like that, right? But looking the other way on Ricky Wynn put everybody on their toes. I mean, everybody, right? So I think, like, and a lot of people are now starting to be able to at least file restraining orders, right? There was a time when the cops would just say, okay, we'll give you a report and blah blah blah, right? That's how they blow you off, as a report, right? That they can't do that anymore. And the reason why they can't do that anymore is because you let a pedophile predator who was on the payroll of Gary Tan, best buddies with the mayor, best buddies with the DA,
the current mayor, by the way,
the current mayor and the current DA, but he was a pedophile predator, and so your association with him is, you don't want that again.
Yep. You
don't want that again, right? Because like let's say that another criminal comes along, you guys have been pandering to, right? It's not going to happen the same way. Yeah. It's just not. I think Ricky Wynn put an end to that.
Well, we got to see. But the one thing that kind of, I think, goes against that is the fact that Scott has not been charged or faced any consequences for breaking the harassment order filed by Brandon Harami.
We don't know that.
Good point. Maybe Brandon hasn't said anything, or Scott either.
Well, no. Sometimes, especially if it's something as serious as like Jason, what's his last name?
Calacanis?
No, Jason. I've already forgotten this guy's last name. Seneca's partner and roommate.
Oh shoot! Yeah, I forgot. I forgot his name, but is it like Ford or something? Yeah.
No, that's not even Ford. I blocked dude a long time ago, so I pretty much blocked him out of my memory. But he did make a death threat to Brandon.
Ooh. He
made a death threat, right? Like Seneca once again made the vile accusation of pedophilia, and on Brandon Harami, right? And after he did that, his buddy Jason came in and threatened to shoot him in the head.
Yes, that's right.
Okay, so my thing is that no, these kind of things don't happen swiftly, right? That's not one of those kind of like swift things, right? You like. Here's the thing: they fired Brandon, right? But they did it after the fact, so he was still a city official when it happened. So what you did was you made a death threat against a city official, right? And that's not as easy as just a restraining order.
Yeah.
But also keep in mind that he did get the first one.
Yes.
He didn't get away with it. He got the first restraining order. Yes. And I think it's very important as reporters to understand, like, none of that is real until it happens. Right? Like we can make speculations about it, but the minute that Brandon actually was able to serve the warrant, serve the restraining order, the minute he did that, that made it reportable. That made it news. Yep. And that's what we need. We need to have a trend where people are getting restraining orders. The restraining order actually is applied, and then we can report on it.
Yeah.
Which would encourage other people who are facing similar harassment to do the same thing.
Yes.
Right. So I'm not going to say that Seneca got away with anything. He hasn't yet.
Okay.
He hasn't yet. Let's not forget, he also got a cease and desist for Neighbors Together Oakland. He didn't get away with that either.
Mm-hmm.
Right. That shady ass nonprofit he had got shut down by Rob Bonta. He didn't get away with that.
He literally all he had to do was file the paperwork too. I just love that part of it, that aspect. He just was so lazy and couldn't do that.
I know. I think he didn't want to disclose his donors.
Oh, good point.
He had to disclose his donors. In order to do that, you have to disclose your donors. And who is that? Who's your donors? Who's your donors? It's Philip Dreyfus. It's California Republicans. It's the Manhattan Institute, the Heritage Foundation. These are your donors.
Yeah.
And he didn't want to disclose his donors because he loses his post-partisan grassroots.
Oh, yes. Yeah.
Right? You will lose your post-partisan grassroots if we find out you're connected to the Heritage Foundation.
Oh, man. Well, okay. Well, fingers crossed we see some kind of punishment coming through.
But I want to just, before we move on, though.
Okay.
There is a greater counter narrative of these guys getting away with it. And that's not true.
Okay.
Nobody's getting away with it.
Yeah.
Nobody's getting away with it. People just aren't organizing themselves in a way that they fight back properly.
Yep.
There are people, we are both aware of a person who tried to get a restraining order against somebody, right? And they went in absolutely unprepared. They didn't talk to an attorney, right? So that person didn't necessarily get away with it. You allowed that.
Yes.
You allowed that to happen. Right. There's a difference between somebody. OK, let's say somebody's harassing you and the only thing you're going to do is take to Twitter about it. What do you mean get away with it? You're still in this. You're still in the zone in the same sector. You're trying to use the same tools to do what exactly?
Yep.
Right. You haven't done your due diligence.
Yes.
It's not like they're getting away with anything. It's that you're not doing your due diligence to stop them.
And what kills me though is and it's such a frustrating thing too to be on that side and be like, well, I need the cops' help if I want to stop this. And then what do? Oh, Mr. Defund the Police wants the help from the cops when it's that whole thing. It's like, well, this is the system we have.
Not just
guess
that,
what? It's so important that I protect my family, that I protect my loved ones.
But defund is your word.
Yes, that too.
I didn't come up with defund.
Nope.
But I mean, I used to use the term demilitarize.
Yeah, I like that.
In fact, I think that's really where it came from first. It was demilitarize the police.
Yeah.
Right. But I've never been walking around saying defund. I've never said that in my life.
Yeah.
And that's something you put on me. Right. I have my issues with the police. You best believe I have my issues. But my issues are not in any way, shape, or form something you could call defund.
Yeah.
Right. I want the police to be held accountable.
Yes.
Right.
It's that simple. That is my biggest critique too. If they shoot an innocent person, they should face consequences.
Yeah. And so they distracted us and made it into a political position. This is not a political position. It's a human rights violation if somebody can go around and kill people in cold blood and get away with it. That's human rights violations.
Yes.
Don't talk to me about the money or politics of that. That's not money and politics. I don't care who you are. If you have a gun and you shoot somebody in cold blood, you should be held accountable for it. Yes. Period. If you choke somebody out in the street, I don't care if you have that badge on or not, you should be held accountable for it. Yes. Don't talk to me about the money of the police. That's really not my primary issue. Yeah. Right. But as long as the cops are going to be out there, they can help me have my accountability too. Right. Yeah. The accountability is not something that only is reserved for the right wing. And the accountability is not something that's only reserved for the rich. And accountability is not something that's only reserved for white people. Yeah. I can use the police too to get my accountability. Yeah. Right. But I want them to be held under the same standard. I don't think that's anything to defund my ass. Exactly. I want them to be held under the same standard as every citizen. Yes. I don't think, I personally don't think that's a radical position. I don't even think it's a political one. It's not. It's seriously. Yeah. I mean, it's just basic facts. And also too, it's it should be even a Republican talking point of especially too, accountability also calls for wasting money, getting overtime pay
for not doing shit, for walking around or sitting in your car, or, you know, taking a call. And what are you really doing? You're hanging out with all the other cops that are just sitting there shooting the shit while one cop writes the report, you know?
Yeah, and that's, I mean, I think that we have to stop letting these people define our positions. I think we have to stop doing that. I wrote recently on my Twitter page about when the Chicago Black Panthers started their free breakfast program. The night before the program was supposed to start, the cops broke into the place and peed all over the food. They pissed all over the food, wasting all the food. But then about 3 years later, the government started a free breakfast program. And why did they do that? To make it political. It wasn't political before then. It was just mutual aid, and mutual aid was such a threat to the government at that time that they made it a political thing. Now we can talk about, are we going to vote for it? Who's going to get it? Who's not going to get it? How much money is going into it? It's now politics. It's now on a ballot someplace, and the kids still aren't getting food, right? I mean, that really is. So we can't let them politicize us wanting cops to be held accountable and calling it defund. We can't let them do that to us. We're talking about basic human rights and basic respect for each other's safety, right? Just basic shit. And it's not political.
Yes.
I will go to the cops. You best believe I will. And I won't have any problem doing it. Yeah, I have my issues with them, of course, but I will use them too. They're in my toolbox too.
My tax dollars pay for their salaries. I should get that same protection that I expect.
Yeah, exactly. And it's just as easy as that. And I like the whole defund thing. I think a lot of people have been discouraged. No, go to the cops.
Yeah.
Go to the cops.
Yeah. No.
Anyway.
It's frustrating. It's, you know, especially the fact that they can do that. They can use these terms and twist them against us and truly create a narrative. You know, it's like they've already ruined the word woke. You know, they've put this defund the police on us. It's rough.
Well, I myself, I mean, I feel the same way about you can't have that word. There's a lot of words you think you can have that you just can't have.
Yep.
Woke is still mine.
Yeah.
You don't own woke. You don't define woke. To me, I mean, I don't know why we have to listen. Like people like Charlie Kirk said. Who gives a fuck what Charlie Kirk said? I don't understand.
People tell us to.
Yeah,
that's why.
Candace Owens said. Who gives a fuck what Candace Owens said? Why do I have to keep looking at people responding to some people that I would really not talk to on a bus? I wouldn't even talk to Charlie Kirk on a bus, Ben Shapiro on a bus. If I was sitting next to you and you were sounding like Charlie Kirk or Ben Shapiro, I'd be like, I got to get up before I punch this guy. I got to go. You know, but you're gonna put their stupid ass opinions in my face as if they have any validity, right? Woke's my word. I don't care. Woke, it's my word. You can't have it. You just can't have it. You know what I mean? I think everybody should take that attitude. Who is trying to take it from you? Do they matter?
People, yeah.
Do they matter? Well, if they don't matter, turn them the fuck off.
Yeah, exactly. Especially, I don't know how anyone could take Charlie Kirk seriously. I don't know, especially with those eyes like being so close.
Yeah,
he's such a weird looking dude.
Yeah, but the right bully you into listening to them.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, yeah, because they buy up all the media too.
Exactly.
They have such a strong, wind tunnel.
You don't define woke for me, and you don't define my position with the police for me, and you don't define my position with what is political and what isn't political. I think that letting trans people exist is not a political position.
No.
I don't think it's political. I'm sorry, I just don't.
Exactly.
All I have to do is just leave that person alone. Well, I can do that. It doesn't have to be political. All I have to do is just leave them alone.
Yeah,
I can do that. I can do that.
They have to literally fake that these people are dangerous. They literally have to make shit up.
Right.
And but I do want to point out one good thing though too is that I do think this might really have hurt Scott's. I think this loss in the mayoral race. I think the loss for what's her name, Kenitha Mottery, who had him show up at her event. I think he's toxic now. I think he's gonna do way more damage than they want to admit.
Well, I mean, I think that the thing that I think was most important was that he was going to the rich white community saying he was representing the poor black community.
Yep.
And the poor black community with the election of Barbara Lee said, no, he doesn't. Right? He does not. And so he can't go back to the rich white community and say that he does that, because he doesn't. Not here. Right? And once again, I think that's what this whole thing was. It's supposed to be a blueprint for how to overtake predominantly black and brown cities with Republican agendas. Right? Yeah. He's going to end up having to go to Memphis. He's going to end up having to go to Cleveland, where he's originally from. He's going to have to go, because that particular platform, it doesn't exist anymore. Black people know who you are now, and the white people know who you are now. You were taking advantage of the confusion. You were taking advantage of being an unknown. Yes. Right? Now you're a known. What are you going to do?
Yeah, and I want to point out, you make a great point. I want to point out this tweet. Seneca Scott, something tells me a lot of houses in the hills are about to be put up for sale after Barbara Lee won. Oh my God. It just goes to show where his priorities are at. It just goes to show who he actually cares about, He's
trying to set up a fear of black people coming up the hill.
Oh, very good point.
And saying that now that Barbara Lee has won, the Negroes are going to run rampant.
And there goes the neighborhood.
Yeah, they're coming up the hill. They're coming up the hill. Loren lives on the hill, by the way.
Yeah.
He lives on the hill. And in fact, Loren might be the first person to sell his house because his career is over.
We can only hope. We can only hope. Yeah, it's so funny too but also it's like, do you not know anything about Oakland politics? That's always been the dynamic. It's always been hills versus flats.
Yep.
When I first moved here, that was the story, you know?
Has been.
Yeah. So, all right. Now, the other story I want to jump into is something, we've been following. We were following the Concord rent control battle.
Yeah.
We actually had a few episodes about what was going on in Concord. We interviewed the wonderful Betty Galbadon, and she has just made the news again because something has come up. Basically, it's been revealed that during that rent control fight in Concord last month that we covered, it came out that the people that came out in support for decreasing the rent control were paid $250 just to show up. And they advertised it on Craigslist too. But it was truly, they tricked. And if you read this article in the San Francisco Standard, which, man, I am so conflicted about the Standard.
Well, I'm going to tell you, I will say this. I used to work with Jen Wadsworth over at San Jose Metro. I know Jen. Jen is the kind of person, she's a great freelancer. And I have a funny feeling that the Standard just couldn't turn down the story.
Yeah.
She really is an incredible journalist. And I'm glad that she's now freelancing. So I think this is a freelance piece.
Okay, cool.
But you should be. I'm not really conflicted. I understand who Michael Moritz is.
Yeah,
I know who Michael Moritz is. But Jen Wadsworth is probably just doing her job, and she does that job very well.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
And what this also points out too is something that before, maybe even a few years ago, maybe even last year, to kind of make these claims, you'd be called conspiratorial, like the world is out against you. No, we always knew this. We always knew this with the trolls. And Emily Mills, again, a wonderful follow on X. Please follow her because she's just constantly giving out great information. That's why they attack her so hard. Yeah. But she points out all the time the contracts going on, the company Accelerate being involved. And we've always known that people have their social media teams. Neera Tanden was a famous one who, would always have these burners supporting her. And then she actually took a picture with her social media team. And it was oh, it's all coming together. So we knew this stuff happens, but these people, and this is the thing, it was paid for by the biggest landlord lobby in the state, the California Apartment Association. So when we identified in the last episode too, when we talked with Betty, I mean literally they'll do all they can to shut down anything that helps tenants. And look how far they're willing to go to pay people $250. I mean, that's like almost double the salary of a substitute teacher. You know, like that is some good money to show up for what, 4 hours of work, if that. I mean, it's insane. But this is what we're dealing with in a post Citizens United world. Yeah. And it's something to keep in mind as we go forward, because, you know, Betty here, you know, she's doing the good fight. But you know, this is after like years of fighting for this, that she's finally getting paid to organize and stuff, you know, and she's fighting on behalf of the, you know, the poor, the people that can't pay for this money, or that can't pay for this kind of support. And we're up against people that can seriously like throw down, you know, $250 to show up a meeting. How much was it a signature that they were getting for the recalls? Was it $8 a signature?
Oh, buddy, it was more like 18 to 20. That's the reason why. That's the reason why people were flocking. The reason why, and I'm glad you brought that up, because it was this thing where this is AstroTurf. That's what this is. AstroTurf ultimately is just a bunch of money, with unprincipled money at that. Yes. So I mean, like almost every signature gatherer I talked to was from out of state, had no idea about what exactly was at stake during the recalls, but very charming, and often very good looking. Like they had very charming, very good looking people. So they would just charm the signature out of you. They didn't even have to lie. They just sign it, would you? And people signed it. But it definitely was unprincipled money and AstroTurf, and I mean, these guys were doing it, I think, the same way probably these other people were doing it for the money, right? You need the money, right? And you don't care about the issues. You're uninformed of the issues. It doesn't really matter. Like, you know, it's not like you're an unscrupulous person. It's not that you really lack principle. It's just you're unprincipled on this particular subject, and it doesn't matter to you.
Yep. And I remember, you know, hitting up signatures about this. Oh, hey, wait, is this one? Oh, I don't know.
Yeah.
Oh, wait, yeah, you know, and you're like, you should, like, don't you care? Oh, you're paid to do this, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. you have no real passion for the issue. No. If the money wasn't involved, you wouldn't be here.
Yeah, it's just the job, it's the economy, you know, you can make your own hours. I can see why it'd be a decent job to have, even though you're basically helping evil.
Yeah. Yeah, but I mean, like, yes, yeah, and you're right that it's good that we are starting to see that people are starting to understand the way these guys have been playing this game.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
And I want to point out, I looked up this person, Shamil. She's based in Arizona. And that's another thing, too. A big part of the politics going on in the Bay Area right now is that it is truly outsiders. I mean, it's not just people like Chris Moore and Philip Dreyfus. Is Philip Dreyfus in Piedmont? You know,
yeah, he's in Piedmont. Yeah,
yeah, and I think Chris Moore is either in Berkeley or Piedmont. You know,
I think he's in Montclair.
Okay, but we're not talking. They're trying to influence areas that they don't live in, because they honestly don't care except for their money. They don't have that connection to the community. And even worse, in cases like this, she's based in Arizona.
Yeah.
She's doing this from far away, and she's trying to defend it as she's like, I'm paying activists. No, you're not paying activists. You're paying people that are desperate, you know, that just need a job. And they also, in this article, they point out so they interviewed one of these guys that went and did it, Jackson Brody, and he admits they tricked him. Mm-hmm. I mean, they told him one thing, that it was about like better solutions for rent control, better solutions. It was like, no, it's just anti-rent control when it probably came down to it. And he was like, oh, I was tricked.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, I think it's going to emerge more and more and more, I think, you know, because I mean, your ideas are just unpopular. Like I like in most places. I mean, like I'm going to reflect back on Oakland real quick. Like we did what the country should have done.
Yep.
Right. We shut out all the noise. We ignored all of the money. We ignored the lies. We ignored the intimidation, and we voted for the black woman.
Yep.
That's what we did. Right?
Yes.
But I mean, I think that this is going to continue, like, until we can further inform the public about how they do it. Right? Like, you know, but the reason why you're doing it is because your idea is extremely unpopular. It's an unpopular idea.
That's the thing about Republicans.
Yeah. I mean, like, I think the only way we're going to be able to truly overcome this is by convincing people that they are being bamboozled most of the time by liars with really bad ideas.
Yes. And we have to understand they are pushing bad ideas. And so, I mean, like, detrimental ideas. I mean, ideas that truly only serve a very tiny population. And they're gonna find every other way to cover that up, every other way to distract with that. That is why trans stuff is becoming an issue. Trans sports is a huge issue. Illegal immigration, even though they're saying now, Kristi Noem is saying the border is actually not that bad. You know, even though they want to deport people, she's, you know, that psycho who took that insane picture in front of the jailed immigrants, you know, like she's even saying, like, actually, you know, the border, you know, we could probably tone it down a bit. You know, they need these distractions. They will find any other way to basically hide how bad what they're pushing for is.
Well, I mean, and that's the other thing, though. I mean, I keep coming back to also, like, what is Gary Tan's involvement with, like, trying to overtake a black community, or a black and brown community? What? And then we have to understand that what's happening in El Salvador is actually a concentration camp for labor, for the network state. That's all this is. It's like the network state is trying to do something in Honduras. These guys are getting flown into Honduras and Venezuela, and they're getting disappeared to do what? They're getting disappeared to actually help build these network state cities that are trying to build, right, as we speak, right? And we can't act as if these things aren't connected. We can't act as if these things aren't connected. We can't act as if, like, the anti-blackness that was coming from the Diane Yaps and the Henry K. Lees and the Gary Tans, like, and as it's spreading to Oakland, and the Elon Musk, right? And as it's spreading to Oakland, right? What exactly were they intending to do with these black bodies? What is their plan in Oakland to do with these black bodies, right? And so and that reflects also on what is anti-rent control exactly? Like, what is that exactly? I mean, like you could have your rents and then go to places that have rent control, but what is your real intention behind stopping rent control? Like, what's your true intention? It's not really about profit. You have profit through this thing, right? No, it's about control. Why are you trying to control? If a landlord wants to do a rent control department, he should be incentivized to do so. Right. You are upset because the landlord might want to do a rent control department, and you're trying to stop those incentives. Why?
Yes.
Why?
Because they want more homeless people. So they can jail them. And then you can make them work for free.
Yeah. What do you do with those bodies? What do you plan to do with those bodies?
Yep.
You know, so I mean, like, we have to be honest about their sinister intentions, and exactly, I have to understand just how interconnected they are. Nobody living in Indiana should be mad about Barbara Lee becoming mayor. It shouldn't even be on your radar. And no tech bro in San Francisco should be mad about Barbara Lee becoming mayor.
Yep.
And no tech bro should have actually been invested in Qingdao being recalled. Like, you guys, how's that affect you? What do you intend to do with that body? You know? So, I mean, it's just, I mean, I'm glad we're not saying SF.
I know. Well, but also so much of that too is the social side of these politics now. And that's what they were talking about too. I've talked with techies before about how they have these parties, you know, actually, and they're doing it more and more where it's like parties with political bents, but they're always political bents for stuff that's like kind of pro-capitalist, you know, definitely has investors behind it. Like, I just saw flyers, a rave for nuclear energy. It's like, what? Like, what is I'm not going to go to a rave to bring back nuclear energy, no matter how good that Molly is. I'm sorry. Especially having lived in a place that was ravaged by nuclear waste. Everyone look up Hanford and look up how dangerous and messed up the thing is now. Where I come from, the two big industries are just cleaning up the nuclear waste and treating cancer.
Jesus.
Guess what? They're all related.
Yeah.
I mean, it's you could taste it in the water.
Jeez, man.
So before we go, one last thing that it's just so perfect. I just have to point it out. Trevor Chandler.
Go ahead.
Trevor Chandler is back to lobbying. Mr. No, I care about San Francisco. I care about the community. You know, I'm a public school teacher. Nope. He's always been a lobbyist. Always been a political tool, and that's what he's back to. He went from probably the worst right now lobbying group in the nation, APAC,
but also worked for Citizen. Don't leave that out. He worked for surveillance for Citizen even before then.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Well, now he's back to surveillance with Flock, which is the biggest one, which is also, if you learn anything about it, it's basically also kind of a scam for cops to make more money. They actually get a piece of every contract the cops can convince a neighborhood to buy into. I mean, that is how scummy this whole thing is, you know? And that, of course, sign up Trevor.
Yes.
Is there something ethically wrong that I could make money off of? Sign me up.
Well, no, but the thing that kills me is like people kept saying, dude, we're looking at your work schedule. You are not a teacher.
Yep.
Like, dude, like you signed up to be a substitute. You put in like maybe an hour and a half teaching. How can you call yourself a teacher? What are you doing?
And literally registered for the job, signed up for the job the day before he signed up to run for his candidacy for his supervisor. Oh my God. It's so blatant. It's so blatant.
And he deserved to lose and he deserves never to come back.
Yeah. Oh my God. Yeah. Stick to making money off your people, man.
Yeah. Seriously. I mean, that is just the most, that was the most embarrassing story of the week. I mean, I just felt, just the cringe was just all over me, man.
Totally.
Oh, God.
But it's just like, you're home. Go home. You've made it home. This is your home. But I mean, again, but it just pushed me because, you know, I still always get in political arguments, and you find so much ignorance. It's a lot of people, you know, like people make that comment like, if Hillary won, we would have brunch right now. And that's the sad part about kind of following politics today and seeing it so often is about how people don't want to engage. They literally just want to have stuff handed to them. And this is how people like Trevor can sneak by.
Well,
if you don't research, if you don't look up what these people are doing, they're gonna win.
Well, see, now that's the thing, though. I mean, I think that what I want to do is I want to start a campaign where we depoliticize things that don't deserve politics.
Yeah,
I think that there's a lot of things that we have now politicized that aren't really politics, right? Like a whole lot of these issues are about human rights issues. They are about civil rights issues. Yes. They're not about politics. I mean, when you say politics, you're talking about like policy and government intervention, right? Like that is the last step. That is the last step, right? Like the things that actually have to happen are actually things that happen on the ground. They happen on the ground and they're not political at all. They're absolutely not political at all. I'd like to see an end to misogyny. I'd like to see an end to homophobia. Yeah. I'd like to see an end to white supremacy. I'd like to see somebody like bring in this rampant capitalism. Does that make me a communist? Like, no, it doesn't. It's not political. It's not political yet, right? Like what I'm talking about is if you're hungry, maybe we do some mutual aid. Right. Yep. If you're sick, then we have to start building the networks where people can take care of each other if the insurance companies are going to abandon us. Yep. Right. And that won't be about politics. It will not be about politics. So I think I would love to start depoliticizing things.
Yes.
You know, there's only a handful of things that are really politics. They've turned everything. The right has turned everything into politics. They say the left did it, but the left did not. The left did not turn everything into politics. Right? The whole concept of identity politics, you guys made that up. You made that up. We were talking about the civil rights struggle. We're talking about the civil rights struggle. And you turned it into identity politics. Like, no, that's different. That's different. I don't know what identity politics means. Right? You're playing identity politics. Oh, you mean by talking about civil rights?
About caring about people?
Yeah, about empathy? Are you saying that empathy? Like, you're a social justice worker for not wanting Nazis to beat up on people? Like that, how is that politics? How is it politics not to want Nazis beating up on people?
Yes.
That's not politics.
That's just human rights.
It's just human rights.
Human decency. I mean, and that's, it's so true. I would even say homelessness is not a political thing.
It's not political. It's not political. It's life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness, food, clothing, shelter.
Yes.
None of these things are political. These are human rights, and they're supposed to be inalienable rights, guaranteed by the Constitution.
Yes. Life,
liberty, and the pursuit of happiness, food, clothing, and shelter.
Yes.
Right.
Shelter.
Yeah, exactly. that is not political. That's about human rights and helping people maintain their human dignity.
Yes.
Right. That has nothing to do with politics.
Yes.
Let's vote on it. No, this is supposed to be something that we've already voted on.
Yes.
It was voted on. It was voted on hundreds and hundreds of years ago.
Yes.
It's already been voted on.
Yeah, even some old ass white dudes with slaves even knew, like,
eventually we're going to have to do that.
Yeah, exactly.
So no, I mean, I would like to depoliticize things, because I think the right has politicized everything.
Yeah,
and they try to make it sound like we did that, but we didn't.
Yes. Well, I mean, that is their perfect strategy of always, accusing the other side of doing what they're doing. But on top of that, but on top of that, so they're using politics as a way to shield and protect their investments, their commodification of these things that should be basic rights. Because it makes sense that would make a shit ton of money. I mean, look at PG&E. I mean, look how much money they're making, record profits, and they still want to increase rates. But that's because they know, energy, heat, like these are basics that we need to live, and they can exploit them. Yeah,
I mean, water should be free. I mean, like you put it in a bottle, and all of a sudden it's not free anymore. You commercialized it, right? Like, the water should be free, though. Water should be free everywhere, because water is free. The bottle, you pay for the bottle, you're not paying for the water. Water's free. So I mean, and I think that's the way I would like to approach. Like, when you brought up Hillary, it made me think about that, because things got politicized, right? It got politicized to such a degree that idiot won. Right, because he had politicized all these little minor issues that didn't. The border is not a political issue. Voting for it or not, guess what? The border is imaginary. We are maintaining the border, but the border itself is an imaginary thing.
Yeah, it's literally a bull. It's it's like money. It's like we put weight into it because certain people want weight into it.
Yeah, exactly. But it's not real. Yeah, it's not. What do you think would happen if we got rid of the border between Mexico and the United States entirely? Pretty much it would stay the same. It's not like a whole lot would change because the border is not real. The border between Canada and America isn't real. We allow people to politicize these things, these imaginary things, right? That allow the right wings and the billionaires to fucking win everything, because they're the ones who are controlling the public imagination, because you accept the fantasy that they're selling.
Yep.
And in fact,
distraction.
Yep. That's it. Oh man, it's crazy.
Crazy times. Well, at least we had a good weekend. We have stuff to celebrate.
Oakland, stand up. Love for the town. Oakland, stand up.
Seeing through the BS. We love you, Oakland.
Yeah.
We love you, Barbara Lee.
Yes.
And Barbara, I know you had to say it. Feel free to kind of drop the need for 800 police officers. We know it's not going to happen. Don't make it a priority.
Nobody wants to be a cop anymore. Stop lying to people.
That's the biggest thing. That's what they don't want to talk about.
Nobody wants to be a cop anymore.
Oh, man. No.
Nobody. It's going to continue to decline as long as the cops keep hurting their brand. That's not our fault.
That's not our fault.
It's not our fault. They're doing that.
I didn't make the riders.
Yeah, leave me out of that. Leave me out of that. I didn't do that. Don't say I'm the person who's hurting the cops. The cops are hurting the cops more than anybody else. I'm sorry. Don't put that on me.
You nailed it, my friend. You nailed it.
Don't put that on me, man.
On that, that was another episode of the Doomloop Dispatch. Please follow us on all the socials. Please support our Patreon. We could always use the money.
Yes.
And we're going to keep doing what we do. So we'll see you next week. And
keep fighting the good fight. Keep fighting that good fight.
That's right.
That's right.